Howdy YouTubers, I just got off the phone with Ruger's customer support line. So with that being said, let's talk guns. Alright, here we got a Ruger American Rimfire. I just bought this a few days ago.
Yay!
And I've shot it a fair amount now. I've got a couple hundred rounds through it, and overall it's great. We'll get into details on that. However, the reason I was on the phone with them was because of this magazine. And this is the one that comes with it. This is an older one. You can see the follower is black. The newer ones, the follower is red. It's supposed to be kind of like a empty chamber notificator. I don't know why does it matter? At any rate, that's the difference between those two. This particular magazine's from 2004 and it works just fine, and this one does not, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. But first off, let's start with the rifle itself and what we get in the package here. Manuals, decals, their typical stuff. You'll see it when you unbox it yourself. You get one magazine. The bolt is separate, and you got to install it, which is very easy. We'll get into that in a minute as well. I got the stainless steel version. It has no iron sights. It is meant for scoped applications, and you can see it's suppressed. The whole purpose of this gun and what I'm going to use it for is pest control, and that is that. Suppressed ammo only. 22 long rifle, of course. And let's get into it. Here's a look at the trigger. Pretty nice. Decent machining. And it's got kind of an like Savage's Accu trigger. It's Ruger's version. It's pretty crisp. If you lift it up or down a little bit, maybe you can hear it. It's kind of gritty, but I mean normally you'll be pulling straight back on it, and this is one of those items that will probably wear itself in, and if not, you could always polish it a little bit. So a little bit gritty, but not too bad. Pretty good overall design. Let's take a look at what the trigger pull is. And I use this old school RCPS trigger pull scale. It's pretty accurate, close counts. Do my best not to rub the rifle with the scale. Yep, it's about the same every time, about 3.5 pounds. It is adjustable, and at what adjustment it is right now, if I go lower, higher, I really don't know. We'll look at that here in a minute. But this is how it was shipped. So 3.5, very crisp, no take up. Really nice trigger. I do like it. Of course, this model, if you look at the literature, you can change the butt stocks out. This piece here, you remove that stud and this will come off. You purchase a new one, you can put it back on and adjust your cheek rise or the length of pull. Alright, so I equipped mine with these are low rise 1-inch scope rings from, I forget who, maybe Weaver. And I've got a 2 to 12 power scope. It's a Hawk. These are fairly affordable, $150-ish, I think, if I remember correctly. Adjustable objective on the top there. And it's a mil dot, and this is more than adequate, if not even too much, for what this rifle, what its intended purpose is. The rifle also has a synthetic stock, very, very lightweight. It got a little bit heavier when I added the scope, but not too terrible, and that's to be expected. You get a stud there in the front. Stainless steel barrel. Nothing fancy about it. It's kind of a heavier taper barrel, and fit and finish on it is very nice, very acceptable. Alright, let's take a look at the bolt. So to remove the bolt, which it'll be removed when you purchase the rifle, or it should be if it's in the box. There's a button right here, and what you do, make sure it's unloaded, of course. You press that button and you pull the bolt out. Really easy, really great design. Some firearms you have to do things with the trigger and safety and this and that. This is real easy. You press the button and pull it out. To reinstall it, it's even easier. You just put it in, and that's that. You don't have to mess with the button. Alright, so now we're to the point where I'm just a little less impressed with the design and, well, not the design, the fit and finish of the bolt. I think it's just a little bit lacking in my opinion. If you look here, these edges right here, all like this, that, and this edge here, this corner, these are all razor sharp, and I mean razor sharp. So if you're, you know, if you want to work on this bolt, just be aware that some of these edges are extremely sharp. In my opinion, they should probably be polished or stoned down so that they're not so sharp. Again, the same thing goes for these edges right here. Razor sharp, razor sharp. Again, this is just deadly sharp. This is going to cut your pity right up. On the back side, it's just the same thing. Every edge is razor sharp, and that's something you know, it'll probably wear in. Okay, it'll probably, if you just cycle the bolt a million times, it'll probably get better. And you know, normally you're not going to have this out unless you want to clean it. So it doesn't take away from the gun in any way, but it's just like, I wish they had polished those up a little bit. Now the bolt handle is great. It's a decent size. I hate little bolts where you can't, it's not tangible, you can't feel it. And this is extended very far out, away from your scope, away from your optic. That's a really good design. That's a plus. And the other thing is, this bolt ejects 22 shells like you would not believe. I mean, it just kicks them right on out of there. Taking another look at the stock, polymer stock, you can see it's got some indentations here and on the other side as well. Their mirror image. And it's also got kind of like a grip machined out of there, or molded, I suppose. And on the bottom you got a nice looking emblem. Now at this point, I think what I want to do is take this apart. So I'm going to take a look at the manual and see how that's done, because it'll be the first time I've ever done it. And if you're watching, you don't have one of these, it'll be the first time you ever see it. So let's do that next. Alright, well, it's very simple to remove it. Take the bolt out, which I've already done. And we're going to loosen these two button head cap screws here. Not too tight, snug. Oh, I just felt the action come out of the stock a little bit, but I kind of let loose. One other thing I really like about this gun, and it's on my 1022, I upgraded immediately, and that is, there you can see it just falls apart, so that was easy. But one thing I really like is the extended mag release. This makes a big difference. If you're familiar with the older models, they had just kind of like a flush button that you had to push. And for a couple bucks you could buy a replacement and put it in that was more like this. So good for Ruger for doing that. Now it says all we got to do to adjust the trigger pull is tighten or loosen that screw right there. So what I want to do is, it says clockwise increases it. Wrong wrench. Okay, now I have the proper size wrench. I'm going to tighten it, or well, we'll loosen it. We'll loosen it. We're at 3.5 pounds. And okay, there it goes. A little sticky at first. Alright, that was about 2 turns. And what I'm going to do is put the bolt back in. Maybe. Give her a try. Didn't make much difference. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, but I'll give you my results. I'm just going to loosen it all the way out if I can and tighten it all the way in, and I'll annotate here about what kind of trigger pull you expect with the adjustments. Alright, now we can take a closer look at the internals here. You can see we've got these circlips holding everything together. Let's Move this up out of the way a little bit. You can kind of see how it's put together there. Take a look at the other side. Just take a look there, you can see how the safety works. And that's about it to the internals. Pretty nice. Fit and finish is pretty good in here. Another thing I'm going to knock though is that this safety is kind of hard to engage. I know it's not that big of a deal, but you know, I'm meticulous about this kind of stuff, and you know, it works. And you know, the other thing I don't like is that there's no real positive engagement when you get it back to the safe position. It just kind of, I mean, here you can hear it click, right? But when you bring it back, it's just kind of, I don't know. I wish there was kind of some kind of click or something to just know that I have it in the safe mode. And there you can get a real good look at that, what looks to be laser engraving, where it says Ruger American. That's a really nice detail. I also like the way they did the color scheme, where you got the stainless kind of contrasting the black hardware. That's kind of like the whole theme of the rifle, one of the reasons I really liked it. So that's what the inside looks like, and let's get it back together. I want to talk about these magazines. Okay, before I put it back together, I just noticed something else that's really nice about this gun, I think. These are the two screws I removed to take the action out, to get the barrel on the, off of the stock. And I noticed, I just happened to pull them out. One, they're the same length, which is just great because you can't accidentally put one in the wrong place, because they can go either way. And two, they did a real nice job. These are brass inserts, so you get a real good positive lockup between the action and the stock. And I also like that they're brass. Brass is a kind of a smoother material. It has some lubricity to it. So these screws are really going to clamp down and seat very nicely, and they'll feel good in the hand. Now on this side, where it's this is the bedding, it's already getting a little bit dirty, and I haven't been cleaning it. I haven't cleaned it yet, so partly that's my fault, but it's something to think about. Every once in a while I might need to take these two apart and just clean them a little bit. And also from the factory, there is just an absolute ton of oil in here that's probably not really necessary. So what I'm going to do is just put a light coat on this and clean it up while I have it disassembled, and then I'll put it back together and we'll reconvene. Alright, now I've got it cleaned up, and I was just looking, I wanted to show you a couple more things. It is a free floated barrel, and here you can see how they molded the area where it is free floating, and here you can see where the swivel stud is, where they drilled it there, or molded, whatever the case. And then in the back you can see the machining or molding all throughout here. Very nice, all very smooth, no sharp edges. Right here is a little bit sharp. Probably knock that down with some 220. And again, you got some indentations here, probably mainly just for looks. And then on the back, got the Ruger emblem again, molded into the plastic. Very lightweight, very durable. Another good feature of this rifle. Okay, now before I shot this video, I was on the phone with Ruger's customer support, which they are just excellent. I love their customer support. I've only had to call maybe twice ever because their product, Ruger's got such good products. And the reason I called is it's an issue with this magazine. I measured these two in every way possible. The diameter of the bolts, everything about them. I can't see anything different between these two magazines, but for some reason this one gets jammed, the one that came with it. Now I've got other magazines, older ones, BX25s. none of them get jammed in the gun. And I'm not saying the gun's jamming. It'll shoot every round. I'm saying, I'll show you here in just a second, this is getting jammed in the gun. So I called him and told him, you know, what I figured out, and basically the representative just said, all right, well, I'm going to send you out a new magazine, try it again, and you know, see what happens. So I will update you guys when I get that magazine. But for now, I want to show you what this one was doing, or is doing. You put it in, it's perfectly fine. Goes in and it comes out very easily. Gravity will drop it out. However, when it's loaded and you cycle the bolt several times and it's pushing the rounds in, what happens is this ends up going like that. See that? And then it will not come out. And I bent some of my fingernails trying to get it out. I mean, it hurt. It was really annoying, really annoying. So I just stopped using this magazine for testing for now. But if you click it back, it drops right out. So I have no idea why that is, but whatever. I'm not using this magazine anymore. I'm using my good old trusty one. This is from 2004 from a Ruger 1022, and all my other ones are working fine too. So I'll update you on that. Okay, now accuracy. Again, I'm using subsonic ammunition only. I want this to be subsonic, quiet, for pest control around my house so I don't bother the neighbors. And here's what I found. Now there was about 5 miles per hour wind. This is at 25 yards. And I'm going to put up a couple pictures here that show you the ammunition. But long story short, my best groups was here. This is Gemtech subsonic ammo. You know, there's some decent groups here, but yeah, that's .44 inches. That was the best, one of the best groups, and that's what I actually sighted the rifle in for. So it's sighted in for the Gemtech here. Then I had another really good, that's Gemtech subsonic, and the best was Aguila subsonic. And I had this one flyer, so I don't know if this is actually better than this. I think I'm just going to use whichever one's cheaper, to be honest, because this at 25 yards you can hit chipmunks, moles. I mean, that's a good group. And I haven't gone further than 25 yards yet, but eventually maybe I'll do a video of you know, how accurate this rifle can be. Some of these other ones not so much. So that was the results, and in my opinion that is phenomenal for a rifle to be used for pest control, or maybe even to target shoot with. I mean, with the suppressor on there, that's pretty impressive. One thing to note, some of the subsonic rounds that were rated at 1050, 1050 feet per second, in this barrel, I believe it's an 18 inch or 18 and a half, something like that barrel. Through this barrel, some of them were going supersonic and cracking. And if that happened, I just immediately eliminated that ammunition. I'm not even going to use it. So, you know, I have a 16.5 inch barrel and a 1022, which this suppressor was originally on because it's what I was using for pest control, and it didn't do that with any of the ammunition. 1050 was not a problem. It didn't crack. But in this one, it must be just the extra little bit of length that picks up a little extra velocity, and they go, once in a while they go supersonic and crack. So overall, it's just a great gun, great product. Their customer support is wonderful. So when I get that new magazine, I'll put it in and see if that problem goes away. And yeah, I give this gun an A++ rating right here. The only other thing I didn't mention was the barrel threading, but there's not a whole lot to say about it. I'll show it to you really quick just so you know. Oh yeah, that's another thing. There's the threading, and it comes with a black thread protector, which looks pretty cool. Well, there you have it, guys. There's my review of the Ruger All-American Rimfire 22. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe if you want. And as always, take it easy.